Okay, we are back in business. The only thing is that I will not be able to see um, the comments, but I'll put it up on my phone or something. So give me a second so I can see what's going on in the chat. But I figured it out. So let's begin. Hold on. All right, perfect. I just want to make sure the setup is good on here. So give me a second. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. So today we're gonna be talking about hyperpigmentation, why it happens, and I wanted to do something a little bit different using the board here as more of a demonstration. Also, hold on, I just want to make sure you guys can hear me. Okay, you can, perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my notes really quickly. Give me a second. All right. And then I cannot see the screen. I'm on my phone here. So if you guys comment and it takes me some time to get to the comments, just bear with me. All right. Make sure you guys can see the full board. All right. So let's get started. So today we're going to be talking about hyperpigmentation, why it happens, and what causes it. Okay. All right. So let's talk about hyperpigmentation. Now, the first thing that we are going to be talking about is what is hyperpigmentation. Now, you guys know that I am very, very I don't play about like being knowledgeable. Did I spell that right? I think I did. I don't play about being knowledgeable in the sense of like knowing what you are using, being educated behind what things are. Like to me, that is very, 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 very important. Okay. The more education around something that you have, the better. All right. So hyperpigmentation pretty much is, I'm gonna have to go ahead and abbreviate. It is just excess melatonin or melanin, not melatonin, melanin in the skin, okay? That is what hyperpigmentation is, all right? You have like a face, right? So let's just say this is the face, all right? And you have where there are just these areas of the face where you may have like dark spots, you know, like let's just say these are the eyes. This is the nose, this is the mouth, whatever. And there are spots on the face. Whoa, I don't know what that is. Let's give them some hair. Okay, I don't know. You get the idea. And you have like these pigments in the skin that are darker than what your current like skin tone is, right? So that is what it is. So these will be considered like the excess melanin in the skin. Okay, that's what these little dots represent. So hyperpigmentation isn't dirt, scars, or skin damage. It's where your skin produces too much pigment in response to something. All right. So that is pretty much what hyperpigmentation is. All right. So now we're gonna jump into the next section. Let me make sure y'all ain't going crazy in the. Okay. No questions. Anybody got anything they want to say? No. Okay. Cool. He looked like, I don't know what that is. That looks like something happened to him. He looked like he need to get some help. Okay. All right, so let's go on to the next section, right? And a lot of times too, I hear a lot about hyperpigmentation being something that is genetic, and um, I wouldn't say that, but I will say this, right? With hyperpigmentation, depending on the body as well, well, that wouldn't be considered hyperpigmentation, but within the body, depending on the area, like let's say, for example, the underarms, right? It's just going to naturally be dark in certain folds of the skin, especially of certain ethnicities, right? You're going to have darker skin tones in certain areas, or darker areas, and that's just normal in the basis of the folds of the skin and all that. So that is something that I make sure to say to my clients, and as well as you guys when we are going about this, because that's just a natural thing, and I want to make sure that we just know that. All right, so the next section, or the next thing that we're going to talk about, is how pigment is made. All right, we're going to keep this simple. So we're going to have that question of how is pigment made, right, in the skin? How is pigment made? All right, question mark. Like, how do we get that? So there's something in the skin called melanocytes. Melanocytes, okay? And this is what melanin is, or what creates melanin, right? And then this is going to give you your skin color. Melanocytes. And that is what's going to give you your skin color. So this is what the skin looks like. So you have 3 layers of the skin, right? You have I believe it's the dermis, the epidermis, and then there's the bottom part, which is, I think, the hypodermis, if I'm not wrong. But when it comes to the skin, I remember learning this back in school too. There are 3 levels of the skin. I'm just going to make this little quick diagram on the side. We'll make one more down here just to make it even. So we're going to say, like, this is the skin. All right. So here, the first layer, you have the epidermis. Then you have the dermis. And then you have, I believe this was called the hypodermis. I can't quite remember the name on this one, right? And then you have, I think, I want to say the hypodermis, if I'm not wrong. Someone fact check me if I am. But this is where I would say, this is where the pigment lives. So the melanocytes, this is where that lives, right? So those little pigments that we talked about in the skin, they're going to live here in the bottom layer, all right? And then that's what gives you that pigment, all right? Are you guys still with me? I know this is different. We usually don't do a board. We usually do not do a board, okay? But I felt like I needed to get more demonstrative and try something different. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to always hop in and ask, all right? So yeah, so now that we know what is pigment, or what is melanin made of, or skin is made of, gives you a little bit more background, because this is very important to know where it comes from, so that you can know how hyperpigmentation is created. Hyperpigmentation is just excessive melanin that moves to the top part. So it just makes too much of something, right? Now, there was a mention before that hyperpigmentation possibly cannot be caused by damage, but I also think it can be caused by damage, okay? I feel like when you're out in the sun for too long and things of that sort, it can cause damage. And that can overproduce hyperpigmentation. So I do believe in that part. We see it all the time with like dark spots and stuff, but and sometimes the research is a little off. Okay. All right. So now we're gonna step into the next part of this, and we're gonna talk about. Let me just write this down. Okay. And then we're gonna talk about what triggers hyperpigmentation. So I'm not going to put the whole word, but we're just going to put hyperpigmentation trigger. So what triggers that? So what triggers hyperpigmentation? Like what makes it, what makes the skin start to overproduce pigment? So you have things like inflammation. And we're going to talk a little bit more about inflammation as well, because a lot of you guys do not know what inflammation really is. So we need to have an in-depth conversation about that part. All right. Make sure you guys can see. Ooh, ooh. Okay. Perfect. So let's jump into this. So inflammation is anything like acne, picking at your skin. It can be also too from waxing. Okay. Now there's this conversation about waxing too, and I want to actually zone in on this one because there was this conversation from clients that say like, well, doesn't waxing make you have more dark spots or make you, and from what I have seen with certain people, it does. It does. So anything that causes inflammation of the skin can trigger hyperpigmentation, promoting more more dark spots. This can also happen with acne. We see that happen a lot with acne, okay? Picking, trying to dig and get those little ingrown hairs, that happens a lot as well, all right? The next thing that triggers inflammation is sun exposure. I be telling y'all to wear y'all sunscreen, or not even that. I'm going to take away sunscreen because we see time and time again that sunscreen is cool, but it does not do everything that it needs to do. So I always say to wear some type of clothing that is protective over the arms, over the face, so that you are not burning your skin. So sun exposure is another one that can cause or trigger inflammation, all right? So some things like, tanning, you out there roasting yourself, okay? You out there just in the middle of the beach roasting yourself for hours on end, okay? There's nothing wrong with getting a tan, but why are you tanning for 2 hours? No, and no, okay? So some things like tanning or just being out exposed to the elements, right? And not protecting yourself. All right. The next thing, which is also very common, especially with us women, is hormones. Hormones will get us into something, boy. Like things like pregnancy. We have PCOS. We have birth control. Like just things that can cause not just our bodies, but also our skin to go crazy. All right. So pregnancy can also throw it off. You guys seen that one girl who she was like a light brown skin tone, and she got pregnant, and she turned into, like her skin turned literally dark complexion, like really, really dark from the hormones. Yeah. Seen that. Okay. And then the next thing that I always talk about is skin barrier damage. Okay, this is what I be talking about when I be telling you guys to stop using all them acids, stop using all those retinols and all that stuff, because they can cause a lot more damage than good. And a lot of you guys just don't be taking that seriously, okay? But skin barrier damage can happen. It can happen. And then you got to not only reset your barrier, but you have to also, work on the dark spots that have happened, okay? So, and then another thing too that's really important to know is that if you are not fixing the trigger of your hyperpigmentation, okay, you will never ever be able to fix this. So for example, if you've been shaving and you know your skin doesn't like shaving and you're creating constant inflammation of your underarms, your Brazilian, constant inflammation, guess what's going to happen? You're going to continue to see hyperpigmentation. For most of my clients, once they stopped shaving and started waxing, for them, they've seen less hyperpigmentation, okay? And that is different for everyone. You may have to stop waxing to see less hyperpigmentation. It just depends on your skin, okay? So that is just some triggers or some things that happen with hyperpigmentation, all right? Everybody staying along with me, okay? All right, we're going to move to the next. All right. So the next thing that we're going to talk about are 4 types of hyperpigmentation, okay? Because there are different types of hyperpigmentation as well. This is something that I have also learned more of. And this is the reason why I also say it is important for you to go and see a specialist or go see an esthetician if you are not sure what's going on with your skin, because the average person may not know that there are different types of hyperpigmentation. All right, so the first type of hyperpigmentation it's called PIH, and this is just abbreviated for post-inflammatory okay, so just post-inflammatory. So for example, acne scars. Okay, so this happens when after the fact of you doing something. So after, for example, like an acne scar, after that acne has happened, it left behind trauma on the skin, if you will. So that's what a PIH will be, post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. The next one, which is really associated too with pregnancy and hormones, is melasma. I think this happens a lot on the skin, on the face. Women who are pregnant, I think this happens a lot, and also sun exposure. So this has to do with pregnancy or hormonal, and also sun exposure. But I always hear melasma or hear of melasma more in the context of pregnancy. So I feel like a lot more women, see it happening to them in pregnancy. And then the last one as well will be, is that a mosquito? That's like a little mosquito. The last one will be sunspots. And of course, this comes from UV damage. All right. So that comes from UV damage. Now, and that's pretty self-explanatory. All right. So now I'm going to do a little bit of a demonstration for you guys so you can see how these are a little bit more. But first I need to wipe down. Let's get rid of this. We'll leave the types at the bottom so that you guys can kind of refer back to it while I'm doing these demonstrations. But let's get rid of this top part real quick. And if you guys are enjoying this format, just let me know and we'll continue it. I just think being more visual is better. especially we're talking about skin, just so that people get more of an idea, right? So first thing first is that we're going to do a breakdown of how PIH is. So from my understanding, if we're going back to like the 3 layers of the skin, right? If I did that right. Okay. We're just going to say those are the layers of skin. So if we go back to the diagram of the 3 layers of skin, you have the epidermis, dermis, and the hypodermis. I believe that's what that's called. So how PIH works, which is the post-inflammatory acne scars, is that these are going to be more surface level. So you're going to see these more in the epidermis. Okay? And then we'll just say those are the PIH. All right? So these are going to be more of the surface level type of scarring, and that comes, like we talked about, from acne, right? And then you have something like melasma. So melasma is more, maybe not, but melasma are deeper. So melasma is a little bit more like, I want to say maybe it looks something like this. Like they're bigger parts of pigment in the skin. And you can imagine this being on the actual like epidermis, but this is what melasma will look like. It's a little bit more wider, if you will. Like they're not like PIH. PIH is little dots of pigment, but melasma is bigger clouds of pigment, if you will. Okay. And then so keep in mind too that depth matters when it comes to like pigments, okay? Because the deeper it is in the skin, the longer it's going to take to actually fade away. All right. Excuse me. Do you guys have any questions? Let me pop back in real quick. I don't see anybody set anything. No? Okay, perfect. So let's continue on. Let me get some water. Okay, so now that we have an understanding of hyperpigmentation, we're going to do a little bit of a run back of everything that we talked about really quickly. I'm just going to make it right here on the sidebar. So just some key points if you are just looking at, dang, my whole top went flying. Okay, anyways, so just some key points to take when talking about hyperpigmentation. Okay, just so we can just do a little bit of a rewind. So hyperpigmentation again is just oh my goodness, excuse me, excess melanin in the skin. All right. I'm trying to figure out how I can summarize this. Give me a second. There are 4 types of triggers we talked about, which was sun exposure, inflammation, hormones, and skin barrier damage. There were also 4 types of hyperpigmentation. All right, so we had the 4 types, which was no, it wasn't 4 types. Sorry, it was 3 types of hyperpigmentation. So we have PIH, plasma, and melasma, and sunspots. So 3 types of hyperpigmentation. And that's pretty much what we covered so far. Okay, so what it was, the 4 types and the 4 triggers. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and let's jump into the next part of this. And we're gonna talk about why people get stuck, right? So you may have hyperpigmentation and why you may not be able to fix it, why you may not be able to see, those scars fade or get better. We're going to talk about that next, because now that we have an understanding of what hyperpigmentation is, the types and the triggers, we need to get into the whys and what to do next, and that's a major topic and question as well, because everybody wants to know, like, now what, now that I want to clear my skin, so what do I do to clear that? So we're going to talk about that next. Let's wipe this down some more. Sometimes these whiteboards are so hard to clean. Like, I've had this whiteboard for some time now, and it's beyond trying to get it clean. I probably just need to go ahead and buy a new one. But anyways, let's dry you off. All right, so let's continue on. So now we're going to talk about why people get stuck. Like, when it comes to the journey of clearing your hyperpigmentation, why do you feel stuck? That doesn't, hold on. I don't even know if I want to say, why do you feel stuck? I think I want to word it more as in, like, why you're not seeing improvement. Right? Because that's pretty much more of the... Okay, so you may have that question of, why am I not seeing any improvement? Okay, so what is it with my skin that I'm doing that I am not seeing what I need to see? The first thing that you more than likely are doing that is causing your skin to have, not making any forward movement, is that you are over exfoliating. Now, I understand that you may think that the more that you exfoliate, the better. You may think like, okay, well, if I'm exfoliating, every day, it's going to move the needle when it comes to, like, clearing my skin and all that. But in reality, that creates more damage. You can create more inflammation, right? Which leads to what? More hyperpigmentation. So that's with an acid, that's with a regular exfoliator. Once a week is all you need. Don't be over exfoliating, okay? The next cause of why you may not be seeing improvement in your hyperpigmentation is because you are skipping sunscreen. Now, I'm going to kind of word this a little bit different. I'm just going to say sun protection as well, because I have my thoughts on sunscreen. The more that I am dealing with clients and having this conversation about sunscreen, and I'm seeing that sunscreen is not really making a big difference for a lot of the skin protection. I always say, not just sunscreen, but you need to be wearing a hat. You need to be wearing long sleeve shirts. You need to be wearing things that protect the skin, not just sunscreen anymore. I don't know what's going on with the UV rays, and maybe we're just a lot more stronger. What does it say? The ozone layer is gone, but even with sunscreen, our skin is being tore up. So no, you need to be having a hat, a long sleeve shirt, just more than just sunscreen. Okay. The next one is product hopping, because y'all want to see results so bad, right? You want to see results so bad that you are not even giving it enough time for it to work. And that's the problem. You need to have this here. Not only that, consistency with products. Okay? But between consistency, giving it time, you'll be able to see the product do what it needs to do. But if you are not, okay, and you're using it for like 2 days, and then you're going and getting a new thing, a new product, you're not going to see improvement in it, right? I always tell my clients my number one favorite ingredient for hyperpigmentation or dark spots is vitamin C, right? But along with vitamin C, I always tell them that it is not a quick fix. It's not quick. Vitamin C, oh my goodness, my writing. Vitamin C needs time. Okay, I don't know, y'all probably like, yo, what the heck does that say? Vitamin C needs time, but this is not a quick thing. Like, you're gonna not probably see results for a few like months. Okay, so but consistency is what is needed with vitamin C. All right, and then the next one that will make you being stuck with having hyperpigmentation is that you are not healing the barrier. You are not healing skin barrier. And we talked about this, okay? We talked about this, all right? Um, when the skin barrier is compromised, the skin is compromised, okay? So that means that whatever you use, whatever you do is not going to be effective until you heal that skin barrier and your skin gets back to a natural to its normal pH. It gets back from being pretty much the pH being thrown off. Nothing is going to work. All right. So these are some things to consider if you are seeing that you are stagnant in your like hyperpigmentation journey and you're figuring out like, what am I doing? Look at these markers in your skincare. Are you over exfoliating? Okay. And then I'm going to ask you the opposite. Are you even exfoliating? Because that's another thing, right? And maybe we'll get more into that as we're going along. But since we're here, if you are not over exfoliating, the next question is, are you exfoliating? You should be exfoliating once a week, right? Once a week is all you need. Are you skipping out on sun protection, right? If so, you should be wearing a hat. Let me make these notes. I'm just going to make these notes on the sideline real quick so you guys know. You should be exfoliating once a week. Okay, hopefully y'all can see that. You should be wearing a hat or something. You should be having on a hat for your sun protection. All right. Product hopping. Like I said, give it enough time. You know, and if you are not product hopping, are you using the right products for what you need for your hyperpigmentation, right? And then your skin barrier. You know if your skin barrier is not right, because it'll be burning. You know what I'm saying? Like, none of your products are working. Your skin will look dry, irritated, and all of that. All right. So those are some things onto why it is not working. So now we're going to jump into the next part. Let me hop in the chat real quick and see if y'all said anything. No? Y'all quiet? All right, cool. Let's continue. I'm looking at my handwriting. Okay, we're going to have to fix this, because how can y'all take notes if my handwriting looking like that? Oh my goodness. I'm like, how are y'all able to take notes if that's how that's girl? Okay. We learning. That looked like who did it and why. Go back to the drawing board. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're just going to clean everything off here. Oh my gosh, that's too funny. All right, so now we're going to jump into this next conversation about hyperpigmentation, okay? And I suggest you guys take notes as well. Listen, the amount of, when I study skincare, if you guys seen the notebooks that I have full of notes on skin, you will be like, Eunice, what's going on? But I think education is really important when it comes to talking about skin. And when you are educated with skin on, like, by yourself, and you have a notebook and you know what to look for, and you are educated, it makes conquering, your skin issues so much easier. All right. So next we're going to talk about how to fix the issue, or what you should be doing, right, in order. So let's say, we'll just say routine for hyperpigmentation. And I'm just going to abbreviate. I'm not going to write out the whole thing. I'm trying to make sure I write a little bit clearer for you guys to see. So let's just say we have this routine for hyperpigmentation. The first thing you want to do is you want to calm inflammation. So this is where we talked about before, right? So we said that hyperpigmentation can be caused by inflammation. Ooh, I just rhymed. Hyperpigmentation can be caused by inflammation. Hey, hyperpigmentation can be caused by inflammation. Hey, that should be a commercial. Anyways, you got to get to the point, right? See, once you figure that out and say, okay, well, I've been shaving, and every time I shave, I get more, dark spot or more hyperpigmentation. Cut that out, all right? Stop shaving. Start using things that are going to stop the inflammation from happening, okay? Number 2, repair that skin barrier. Let me make sure I write correctly. Repair. I gotta really concentrate, you guys. Hold on. Skin. Because I want you guys to be able to see what I'm writing. Barrier. Okay, cool. That looks so much better. Okay, so repair your skin barrier. What does repairing your skin barrier looks like? We talked about this in a live, I believe, yesterday or the day before yesterday. You want to be using things that are gentle. No acids, no chemicals, no none of that. No retinols. Basics, okay? You want to go back to gentle cleansers and moisture. All right. Yeah. All right. So number 3, regulate melanin. Oh, okay. I put down in my notes. Okay. So regulate melanin. Now that can be like, for example, wearing your sun protection. Also vitamin C, which helps to even out that skin tone. All right, so using things that are going to correct that. And number 4, of course, protect with sunscreen. But I'm gonna say protect. Well, we'll just say with sunscreen. Oh, we look so much better. All right. Perfect. All right. So this is just a little bit of a breakdown of when it comes to hyperpigmentation, like how you want to structure your routine or what you want to look at when it comes to fixing the issue. All right. Next, we're going to get into the fun stuff. Okay. We are going to get into the fun stuff. Hold on. Oh, okay. That was weird. Why does everybody want to call me while I'm trying to... All right. Perfect. Okay, let's get into the fun stuff. So now that we know the routine and all that, let's do this next. All right. Let me jump in real quick, see if you guys have any questions. No? Quiet in the chat? Cool. All right. So now we're going to get into the fun stuff. We are going to concentrate. Now we are going to talk about the ingredients for hyperpigmentation. I know everybody, this is the fun stuff. Okay. All right, so these are the ingredients that are going to help with hyperpigmentation. Now, there are so many ingredients out there. You know, I always say do your research, but here are a few that can help out with. All right, so you're going to consider ceramides. All right, and ceramides are going to help with the barrier of the skin. All right. Ceramides are they're hydrating, so they're very good for the barrier. The next one that you're going to consider are things like niacinamide. I'm going to put down a few on this one. Niacinamide. Make sure I'm spelling it right. Niacinamide is one. Also, azelaic acid is another one. All right. So when it comes to these, there are others out there. Like I said, for example, you got like vitamin C, but this is also going to help to brighten up the hyperpigmentation, okay? And then the next thing you can have are, of course, retinols or retinoids, okay? Now, I do have to say, y'all need to be using these retinols and retinoids correctly, because y'all don't be using them right, and they be messing up your skin more than good, okay? So this is going to be what's going to control the pigment. Retinoids and all that should be used slowly. Y'all should not be using them every day. Once a week or once every other week, okay? And then lastly, of course, protection, sun protection. That's a major one. You're going to see this one come up a lot because you want to make sure you are not causing UV damage to areas that are already damaged, okay? So sun protection, that's very important. All right. So now we're just going to kind of like jump into another little section here at the bottom. And I want to talk about a realistic timeline of what you can see when it comes to the healing of hyperpigmentation. Now, because everybody wants to know, how long does it take? When will I see results? And it varies, okay? It varies, right? So you have, like, let's say 4 to 6 weeks. All right. And this is going to be like, you're going to see like your tone improve, right? You may see your tone become a lot more brighter. And when I'm talking about this as well, right? I want to make this really important to say as we're going along. This breakdown that I'm about to give you is someone who is consistent and use the right products, okay? This timeline is just that. It's just that, all right? If you are consistent, you cannot sit up here and be doing stuff for only a few days and think you're gonna have results. No, you have to be consistent. So in about 8 to 12 weeks, you can see the hyperpigmentation start to fade. Okay, you can start to see it lighten up a little bit more, okay? And then it'll probably take about 3 to 6 months. And this is going to be for really, really, like hyperpigmentation that's really, really stubborn or deep. This is the type of, this is the the type of hyperpigmentation people probably will get like laser done on or more treatments on, okay? But if you have, depending on how deep that pigment is, sometimes you may not even see it go anywhere at all, to be honest, okay? And I have some clients that they have some really some pigment that I've been waxing them for years, and it's gotten better, but it has not gone anywhere, okay? But pretty much like basic type of hyperpigmentation, you can see between, 4 to 12 weeks a big improvement in your skin if you're being consistent. And also with this, it's just you have to continue to be consistent. All right. All right. So let me clean off this board, and I'm going to open up the grounds for you guys to ask any questions that you want to ask about hyperpigmentation. All right. And I'm going to be back to do this again on my TikTok. I'm going to jump in the live really quickly just to see what you guys are talking about. Okay. All right. So nothing. All right. So then let's continue. We've been on live for how long? I don't even know. But we are starting to close out, you guys. So hold on. All right, so let's so as we're closing this out, I have a few questions for you guys, and this is also some questions that you should ask yourself along this journey of, figuring out your hyperpigmentation and, coming up with a plan for it, right? The first question that I would ask you, or for you to ask yourself, is, are your dark spots acne related or hormonal? Right? Now, this can be a hard one, and I'm going to write down why. For some people, this can be a hard one. If you have something like PCOS, okay, that can look the same. I mean, it is the same, right? Because PCOS is a hormonal condition which can cause you to have acne in your lower face, right? So if you don't know you have PCOS, then you won't know that, you won't really know. But on average, how you can also tell if it's hormonal or acne is with hormonal, for especially women, it's going to be more so around your cycle. Okay, so around like when your menstrual cycle is coming, you know what I'm saying? Like you'll see yourself start to have more acne. Whoa. You know what? That question is kind of, are your dark spots acne related or hormonal? Oh, okay. Got it. Never mind. Sorry. Or if you also had something like pregnancy happen, okay? Causing melasma. So you have to really figure that out. Now, when it comes down to acne, this can happen because maybe you have oily skin. Maybe, you have bacteria on the skin because you're not washing your face. Like, your pillowcase is dirty. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to really get to the point of like, is this acne related, or is it because of something else? Because how you deal with these is going to help out with the dark spots. I just want to make that really, really, because I always say, and you probably heard me say this before, you have to get to the core. So you have to find out the cause. Right? So you have to find out the cause in order for you to clear up the hyperpigmentation. If you are not getting to the cause of what it is that is making you have these breakouts or triggering to the skin, you're never going to be able to really start to work on the hyperpigmentation, because it's just going to continue to cause trauma to the skin over and over and over and over and over again. All right. So that is one question I would ask you to ask yourself, right? Another question, especially if you live out here in LA or where it's warm at, do you protect your skin? And let me tell you, I bet you don't. I bet you. I'm going to just say, do you use sun protection? Do you? Huh? Nah, you want to be cute on the beach. And I get it, because I want to be cute on the beach too, girl. Trust me, I get it. But guess what? Guess what that sun gonna do? This sun, if you ain't protecting yourself from it, it's gonna cause more dark spots. And who wants that? Right? That is gonna cause more dark spots. So you gonna be trying to fix them, but you only gonna get more, because you not doing what? You're not protecting. And protecting, I say, hats, coverings, okay? Not roasting yourself out in the sun for hours on end. Get with it, okay? And then, yeah. So those are some questions that I would just ask you to consider when you are going through the journey of trying to figure out your acne or your your hyperpigmentation. These are some things you want to ask. They're really simple questions, but a lot of people, when they think about it or when you put it out there, they're like, no, I don't use sun protection, or no, I don't be using hats, or no, I don't know if it's acne related or hormonal. Those are some things that you want to ask yourself, okay? All right. Perfect. Okay, so let me hop back in the chat real quick, see what you guys are talking about. Hi. Okay, perfect. So now we're going to talk a little bit about all right. So we're going to talk about the Clear Skin Playbook. Okay, this is the I'm not on that phone, but I have the Clear Skin Playbook, right? I created it for you guys, the ones who have, acne specifically. And I also want to talk about this because hyperpigmentation, I'm going to be working on another ebook all about hyperpigmentation, because it goes hand in hand with acne. Okay. And there are a few things that I want to talk about with that too before we wrap this up. This is important to talk about, because I can't talk about acne without really, really talking about hyperpigmentation. We're going to put some arrows up, all right? Pay attention, right? I want to really make this very, 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 very in your face. All right. You cannot start working on hyperpigmentation until you get to the cause. And I also wanted to bring this up in the Clear Skin Playbook because the Clear Skin Playbook is all about acne. It gets down to the point of clearing your acne, right? And I always tell people, you can't start working on the cause or the damage of a problem and not get to the root of what caused it. If you are constantly like, oh, I want to work on the discoloration, I want to work on the dark spots, but you are having constant breakouts, that are leaving behind new scars. Oh my gosh, my writing. Oh, new scars. Oh my goodness. You are just going to be doing this. You are going to be chasing your tail, going around and around in circles because you're so busy on not trying to figure out why you are breaking out. You just want to get to the point of like fixing the scar. No, 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 no. It doesn't work like that. Clear up the acne first. Clear up what is causing the skin to break out. Then you can step into fixing. Okay? You can step into clearing up that hyperpigmentation. Right? And then when you do that, you will see so much better results because you won't have constant new breakouts happening, right? Creating new scars and you still trying to fix other scars that happened. It doesn't, you're going to be driving yourself crazy. All right. So my Clear Skin Playbook, the link, I will leave it in here after I get off a live. It will be here. But if you go to my beacon, there it is in like the top of my if you go to the community tab, you'll find it there. If you go to my bio on here, you'll find it there. You just click the link and I have all my ebooks there, including the Clear Skin Playbook, okay? And we're going to be working on another one that's going to be all about hyperpigmentation because y'all need it. Y'all need it, okay? But always remember that hyperpigmentation is not going to clear, right? If you are not getting to the root. This right here, cause, 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 all right? All right? Thank you guys so much for tuning into this live. I know it was different with using a board, but if you guys really enjoyed this, let me know and we will continue to do this. And my setup will be a little bit better as we go along, but I really just wanted to see how this worked and I actually enjoyed it. I think I like I'm more of a visual person too, so I think doing it this way, it gave you guys more visual breakdown than just like sitting in front of you guys and talking. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys in the next live. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and yeah, I'll see you guys later. Oh, hold on. Wait, how do you end this? Okay.